The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Good morning, class, and welcome back to the #1 Contender podcast, the show where your favorite nerds sit down and talk things, all things movie, trivia, schmodown. I am your host, Jarod Bachman-Stubbs, and joining me, as always, only from a little bit further away this time, we got Black Leader Travis Grossman.
So
I'm sorry,
things.
Mark Baby Carrots Ellis.
Thank you. Two things. One, I love that the way we record now makes it less likely for you to redo whenever you screw up the intro. Things, all things.
What did I do? What?
You didn't screw anything up. You just said, or we talk things, all things, movie trivia, schmodown.
I did not catch that at all.
This is very funny. Oh, and I also made myself very dizzy during the intro music because I was head bobbing a lot, and now I'm very dizzy.
A little disoriented. Okay, first order of business here. How much did I fuck up the upcoming matches, or did they shuffle things this week?
I mean, I think we only flipped either you putting them in flipped Harris v. McWeeny and JTE v. Goddard, or they flipped them in the schedule because of like a scheduling conflict or something.
Because I feel like what I have written down was correct.
I feel like it was too.
Okay. Because like I will take that L. I will take the L on I screwed up our notes that I have been litigious about, that like I will be like, okay, I messed it up. It was inevitable that I messed up these notes eventually. But if I don't have to take that L, I'm not going to. I'm going to assume that they shuffled shit and we were right still. Anyway, we got 3 matches for you guys this week. All pretty entertaining. All ones that I liked. I enjoyed watching a lot. We're going to jump into the first one we had this week. Adam, the Razor Witt of the Dungeon, going up against the Dens, Thomas Harper, the Major, another Dragon Con player, another player that we have all been looking forward to seeing because, again, there's the interesting dichotomy of Dragon Con v. Schmodown original recipe players that we want to see how they fill out the roster. Travis, how'd you feel about this match?
I think Witt performed well.
Mm-hmm.
He went into round 2 on a deficit, spun the wheel on a category he wasn't sure about and said, no, I've spun away twice and it's bit me in the ass. I'm going to stick with this. And then he got a perfect round 2. Right?
Yeah. Very good round 2. It was very good round 2.
I think he hit all his round 3 questions.
He did. Yeah.
So, like, he can perform. It's just a matter of getting lucky in that round 1 question, I think Harper impressed me with his knowledge of the Schmodown game.
Yeah.
This early in his career, that first question in round 2 where he was like, I need to hear that again. I need to hear multiple choice. I need to hear the multiple choice answers again. Like, he took his time. He worked through it. So.
Yeah, it was very intelligent gameplay on Harper's part for a rookie. Like we see a lot of people, you already seen a couple Dragon Con people get kind of caught up in the trying to maneuver the game mechanics more so than the trivia. And it's been interesting seeing how people are kind of balancing them out, and very interesting to see from Harper. Follow me, if you will, on this comparison. I feel like Adam Witt might be the Star Wars Division's Janine.
I could see that.
I think we're kind of getting to that, like, you can absolutely hand somebody their ass, but just keeps getting bad rolls every time in some way, shape, or form. Because, like, he can bring the heat. We've seen how he does. He took Harper, all the way to the end here.
He only missed like 1 or 2 questions. I can't remember how many he missed in round 1. I think he might have only missed 1 in round 1.
I think it was 1 or 2.
He missed 2 because it was 2 title questions. Because it was what was Obi-Wan's call sign, and then what did Poe get demoted to? And he said the same thing for both, and they were both wrong.
Here's the funny thing. And obviously, as of last season, all the questions have kind of been reset, so it's not like it's a big deal. Did you notice the sheer amount of questions that came from the 2017 Fatal 5-Way?
No.
Okay, maybe it's because I've rewatched that match so many times because that's my, like, hey, let me show you this thing. And it's almost always a Star Wars person, so I lead in with that one. The Obi-Wan's call sign was in there. There were a few other ones that I was like, this is from the 2017 Fatal 5-Way. That just, and again, I've seen that match probably more than anybody, and I don't just because it's the easiest one to try to get somebody into the MTS with. But that the Obi-Wan one was definitely in there. Did this have the Andrew Guy scene at the beginning? I can't remember.
No, it was the one after this.
Okay.
This had the Star Wars quipping at each other.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Which it went on for exactly as long as it should have.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. Well, you have any further thoughts on this bad boy here?
I got the question about when Clone Wars came out, right?
Good job.
I'm proud of myself.
I did very well with this one. I think I was pretty much on par with Harper for the whole thing, and I was very impressed with myself. Moving on then, we have King Khan versus John the Flickenger. I want to say up top right now, had the Flick Pick won, the part of the title of this episode would have been Big Flick Energy, to quote one John Kaiser. However, Mr. Flickenger did not win. He got a
screwed,
rough match,
dude. I felt so bad the moment he hit Festival. Whatever the Festival Darlings. It's a shitty name for a shitty category, man.
It is a rough category.
It's like Oscars on hard mode.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Like, Oscars is hard when they dip into the stuff. Like, if it's not a classic film, when they dip into shit like pre-1980 for a lot of these guys, right? But generally, you could navigate it. Like, you could guess your way to an answer. There's no chance with this shit, man. Like, especially if you're not on that beat. Like, by comparison, I feel like Chris Stuckman would do okay in festivals because he looks at that and, like, his films go to festivals and stuff. But I think the majority of people in the Schmodown look at festivals as, a terrifying category because it's just not something you keep up with.
Yeah, I feel like the film critic wing of Schmodown competitors is where Festival Darlings is probably not too much of a kryptonite haymaker type deal. But I feel
like for even them, it's like they go to multiple choice every question to make sure they still might miss one.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Because I know we've seen I'm pretty sure we've seen Roca and Bibbs make their way through Festival Darlings pretty well. But like again, it is a high end category. It's a weird, in the same way that the Star Wars division is both wide and deep. Festival Darlings, just as a slice, is very wide and very deep. And a difficult one, especially in your first match.
I wouldn't even say it's wide and deep. It's just no one gives a shit about those movies unless they go to theaters. Like the Whiplash question, I knew because I love Whiplash, but that movie had to go to theaters and then win Oscars. Like, for me to be aware of its existence. Every other question, I had never even heard of that movie.
That's fair. Again, Gucci has another good rookie.
Yeah. Despite me saying Flick got screwed, Khan did play well.
Yeah.
So
I do want to. Yeah, I do want to like say up top because I don't want to like spend more time lamenting Flick's loss than like addressing the fact that King Khan is another one on the list of this army of really good rookies that the Barbarian and Gucci have drafted. What I think is interesting is that I'm curious if there might be like a weird rookie bubble that pops here soon, though. That like, save for Brother Lomas, all of them have won. Which means at some point you got to start having these winners play each other to like figure out tournament shapes and number one contender. We said the name, matches and stuff of the like. At what point does like, because they're trying to avoid the free point stuff where you have co-faction mates play each other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious as to like how they handle the fact that like at what point do they go, okay, it's time to put X amount of rookies on the bench to let people play for title shots now? Like at what point does Gucci have to like bench everybody to most likely just throw JTE, Roca, and Barbarian out there and let them do the rest of the work? Because I feel like that's the most likely outcome here. Like I'm sure we're going to see some of these guys in singles tournaments. Again, assuming we get more than one tournament in each division this year. I want to know, like how does Gucci make the decision on which one of these guys to keep in tournament play? Like, I'm not sure at what point, especially without making the other rookies feel underappreciated, right? Like, how do you walk that line where like you just don't randomly go, well, all of you won a match, some of you against other rookies, some of you against seasoned players.
Yeah, I mean,
how do you make the decision on who gets benched?
I think it comes down to where you're sorting people because, like, Barbarian, he could send off to IG, right, in tournament season, and that frees up a slot. If JT is focusing on teams, like he's playing in singles next week, assumedly next week, he's playing in singles, but his goal right now is teams. So out of your three vets, Roca's the easiest to like just say, well, he's obviously going to be in a singles tournament.
Yeah. They also might do the thing with like if they do two tournaments where kind of like with teams, almost all of the teams are either rookie teams or like newly formed teams.
Yeah. So they might do a tournament where it's like everyone's throwing your rookies or like
and then
throwing
later
your
in the
newest
season.
players.
Yeah. That might be it too. It's very interesting stuff. Harloff's been saying it. They've been saying it on backstage, on the rundown. Like you gotta just credit where credit is due. Everybody made fun of Gucci for this batshit crazy decision, and granted, most of this a lot of the strategy behind it was the Barbarians. But I maintain what I've been saying for years about Tom Dagnino, which is he may not be a tactical savant or a trivia mastermind, but the man is really good at knowing what people are good at and letting them do what they're good at on his behalf. Like he is a good manager. Like he's very good at winding somebody up, pointing them in the right direction, and letting them go. And this season is proof of that, especially since he has cultivated a faction that is less ego-driven. You know, he does not have to base most of his decisions around the egos and heads of 4 legends in the game, which, you know, I think makes his life a lot easier. It's a lot more manageable to be like, okay, the whole faction is based around the fact that we flout Roka as the true GOAT. We have JTE, we have the Barbarian, then we have Gucci. And then it's like those 4 personalities are kind of like what prevails over the exchange. And then you have as you and your name counterpart have said, these all kind of like weird
mini Gucci's.
Pseudo mini Gucci's.
Mini lizard Gucci's.
Mini lizard Gucci's, exactly.
I'm still not convinced it's not just like one lizard in several suits.
Oh, if only. I do want to just address that I have mixed feelings about the question that I have used as my nameplate for the audio podcast listeners. I'm referring to what 2000s whatever comedy featuring Fred Willard and Chris Parnell features the quote, "Oh God, it's so hot, milk was a bad decision." It's certainly a difficult question. And part of me really dislikes it because I feel like it's misleading. Because then you send somebody down the warpath of what the hell movie stars Fred Willard and Chris Parnell.
My biggest thing with it is that, like you said, like the quote isn't attributed to either of them. And it's not a distinct quote. Like, I don't read that line and then immediately think of Anchorman.
I did, but like also I like in junior high and high school watched Anchorman way more than I should have. So like I'm not a good test subject for that because I was watching it while I was at work and I was like looking around the bar checking for drinks, but I heard oh God, milk was a bad decision. Being like, this fucking Anchorman. Because I think milk was a bad decision is a good quote to put because it is not as instantly recognizable as, you know, Sex Panther or oh well, that escalated quickly or go fuck yourself, San Diego. Like it's not as instantly recognizable as like some of the other like more quoted quotes. So I think you could have gotten away with starring, you know, Will Ferrell and January Jones, or maybe not even just cut the actors and just give the quote. I think just giving the quote makes it a really well scaled question. Because like you said, for most people, milk was a bad decision.
I think if you're giving just the quote, it's a 5-pointer. Honestly.
Really? Yeah?
Yeah. I think you're right. I think the wording is weird because then, like you said, you're trying to think of like what movie stars these two and then also has this line. But I think if you just give the line, maybe it's because I haven't watched Anchorman that much, but like I had no idea what the answer was. And for it not to be any of the ones you said, right? Because I know those ones.
Yeah.
I think then it's a 5-pointer. I think if you shuffle one of the actors around, like if one of them had been Steve Carell, right?
Yeah.
Not that would, like, it still would have been the same thing, but like.
But he's more in the immediate cast, though. Like, Willard and Parnell, they're like background. Like Fred Willard plays Ron Burgundy's boss, and I think Parnell, I think he's just like one of the other people who works at the news station. At least Steve Carell is like part of the anchor team.
So I'm
who's like more in
so
the forefront, which makes the question a lot easier. I think then if it's
Then it's a
Carell
three-point.
and then you keep the quote, yeah, it's a 3-pointer. It is a very interesting question. I hope this doesn't discourage the Flick pick. I was really looking forward to seeing him compete. He seems like he has the right energy for it. He had a bad game at the same time that King Kong was having a great game.
I think he would have
very entertaining.
I think it would have been a much closer match. I'm not sure he would have won, but if he had gotten a category that wasn't festival movies, right? I think it would have been a much closer match.
I think you're right. Yeah, I can only imagine how well he would have done with like a Sly and Arnie type deal. But moving on to our last match, are we going to do what we did before, where we're just going to discuss plotline stuff once we're done with all the matches?
Yeah, I guess we haven't
Okay.
That's probably the easiest way to manage the time. So
yeah, probably. Also, short episode for you guys this week because only 3 matches and no pay-per-views.
Yeah, not a lot going on.
However, I'll probably make up for it by just gushing over Jay Washington, but that is beside the point. We had the return of the Godfather, Drew McWeeny of the Usual Suspects, going toe-to-toe with the delinquent Lon Harris of Swag. Travis, how'd you enjoy this match?
I was very impressed by Mr. Harris.
As was I.
Not that, I ever thought he was a weak player, but certainly coming off of that match he had in teams, right?
Yeah.
Like, he was like, no, that's not the norm. That's not my average.
Yeah. It was good. Not to use the dreaded double R term. However, I do think the Godfather has a little bit of ring rust to work off. I think that is definitely a factor here.
I
he
think
played
he got
well.
Cocky. He played well, and I think he got cocky in his round 2. I think he was like, yeah, I can keep this and be fine, and really should have spun away.
Yeah, that was a bad round 2. Yeah, again, that's just one of those, like, it can really be anything. Like, Romance is absolutely one of the, like, just spin and run like hell. Yeah, I was very impressed. I will say one of my new favorite dynamics in this game is watching Sam Levine manage Drew McWeeny. That just feels so good to watch. I really enjoy their dynamic, and you can tell the amount of like mutual trust that is in that dynamic betwixt them. I just really enjoy watching them work together. Like a lot. It makes me very happy. Not me hoping that Sam drafts himself next season so that we can have an above the line reunion.
Hey, free agency's coming up.
I am going to trade one of my players for me. But yeah, it was Lon Harris didn't answer all of his round 3 questions. Am I correct?
No, you are correct.
Yeah, it wasn't a TKO. Like he had to answer one.
He had to hit his. He hit his 2.
He hit his 2.
The tie,
that's right.
And then Drew missed his 5. So
I watched this as I got home and then like finished the match and then collapsed.
That's pretty much what I did too. Well, I got home,
make sure I was right.
to follow Mark Ellis's example, started putting together a new Magic deck, and then collapsed.
I got so excited because, like, I don't know if I know this story's come up on the other shows, but whenever I first got you into the Schmodown, as a Magic person, you had heard of Ben Bateman before.
Yeah. Like I had watched him play in competitive tournaments. Like
And I had no idea he was like within the Magic the Gathering circle. So I was like, yeah, Ben Bateman, Ben the Boss Bateman, Ben Bateman. Getting all excited for an upcoming match with him. And Travis is like, is this the same guy? And it was.
Like, I was already
indeed.
following him on Twitter because of Magic the Gathering. So I was like, this guy, right? This Ben Bateman always wears a suit. Like, is the best dressed guy in whatever thing he's doing. Okay, just making sure it's that Ben Bateman.
I'm so glad Bateman also does that shit with Magic. I'm so glad that he just consistently.
He doesn't do the like, the evil heel persona that he does for Schmodown, but he's still like in a suit, whatever. He was doing an interview with like, Tulane Community College, the highest subscribed Magic the Gathering channel, more than the actual Magic the Gathering YouTube channel, which is hilarious.
That's funny.
But they're friends, and he was on there doing an interview, and he brought up the Schmodown several times. Because I think it was like right after he had won the belt.
Good.
So he's like, yeah, this movie trivia thing I do is really fun. And like, it's also really competitive and super cool.
That's fun. I'm sure the people who watch him in both get very excited for moments like that. But yeah,
have you listened to his new song yet?
I have not had a chance to yet.
I haven't either.
I've been meaning to. I will be honest. Most of my Spotify has been dedicated to the new Brockhampton album. I've not been able to turn off Roadrunner for a hot minute. So it's either Roadrunner or just the usual podcast suspects, unrelated. And this is just us, socializing on air. You need to watch the QAnon documentary.
Yeah.
It's really good. Like, I need to go back and re-listen to that Q miniseries you got me hip to.
Oh, Q Clearance. I need to finish
Q Clearance,
I think.
I thought that was the name of it. As I know it was like Jake Hanrahan.
Yeah. I think I have like one more episode of Q Clearance left, so I might listen to that today at work.
Definitely. I would definitely say, like, I have one episode left of the Q doc. And what I want to do is I want to watch the final Q doc episode and then go back and listen to Q Clearance, because, like, spoilers for the documentary and spoilers anybody listening to this. Jim and Ron Watkins are actually on camera for a lot of it. Somehow this man got the Watkins, like, just to talk on camera.
Okay.
For like 90% of it. I don't know how.
I gotta watch it.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to sell Lexi on it. And I was like, I'm like, where do I start trying to explain? Okay, Jim and Ron Watkins are ghosts and are somehow featured heavily in this. And like, I knew just saying that to you, you'd go, what? So yeah, highly recommend it. Anyway, speaking of secret societies and grand conspiracies, the Schmominati is up to no good. I support they're up to no good, but they're up to no good. Assuming they're the Schmominati. I feel like they have to be. I feel like going from like, oh no, I gotta warn, I gotta save Harloff. Harloff isn't involved. To Grace Hancock returns. Grace Hancock fires Harloff and takes over as president. Grace Hancock starts inserting her own chairman. Jay Washington's back. So happy about that. I'd rather have him in the ring or managing, but I will take President Washington. Welcome, folks, to the Washington administration. Oh, God. There's got to be a Washington on your side joke we get to make at some point this season now.
Yeah.
That's got to make itself present. But yeah, no, I think absolutely we're going to get it's pretty much confirmed though. Like it has to be with all the string pulling and the fact that like the brainwashed Andrew Guy is being an excellent toady for Grace.
So Here's my batshit insane theory that isn't true. The Schmominati is actually like a cell of OG Schmodown players who are there to defend against Grace and Jay and crew. Like, we find out the Schmominati is like Ellis, Roca, Merle, JTE. I don't know. Like,
That would be an interesting way for that to shake out. Because it has that kind of weird vibe of like, here are these two warring cults. Take your pick as to which one you think is less destructive. That would be interesting. That'd be an interesting way to go with it. Like you said,
there's no way that's correct.
There's no way it
that's
happens,
true.
but I think that would be interesting to like turn around. It's like, no, actually, the Schmominati were the good guys. I'm also glad that Swag Surrection like ended with a nice bow on it and had a point. Like, I was really afraid it was a plot line that was going to become a nothing burger. Because I thought it was funny, and then they bring Jay into it, and I was like, "Oh shit! This is just a glorified cameo. This is bullshit. I wanted Jay." And now, ladies and germs, Mr. Jay Washington is the new president of the Movie Trivia Schmodown.
He's the commissioner.
Commissioner. Yes, not president. My apologies. He's
president.
the commish. Yes, Grace Hancock is still president. However, our new commissioner is the urban gladiator himself, Jay Washington. I hope, because of the structure of the Schmodown, we are never going to see something like Anarchy again.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like within factions. Maybe. Or they do a full Anarchy season where like there is no draft, there is no free agency,
It's
like
just
factions are
assortment.
built. Huh?
It's just like random assortment.
Yeah, like a hat is what builds the teams that in the factions that year. That said, I'm very curious as to what Jay Washington does during his tenure. I think that we could end up with some fun plot lines and some fun game structures that Washington implements. It just makes me happy to have him, of all people, with so much power in the game. Now make him a manager. No, for your next trick. Just I know, like, I got over halfway through the season. Can't do it right now. I get it. But like next season, give Jay a goddamn faction, please. Jay,
That would be
please
a power
have a
move
faction.
if he started a faction like next month and then still won the no handouts. Like, he doesn't get any points to start. He has to draft basically all rookies from like the pool of people that didn't get drafted.
Yeah.
And he still takes those rookies and like some vets, all the way to winning the faction war at the end.
Yeah, do it next week so that you could be in the free for all.
Mm-hmm.
Have one of your newbies win the free for all. You get a title shot of your choice, and then from that point, you just get the free for all win plus all 4 belts. There you go. No, that would be hilarious. But yeah, also the Mark Ellis and Andrew Guy skit was like, it felt written by you, like just the way it was paced in that style of humor.
And it's Coors Light.
Right, it's Coors Light.
How do you know where I live?
It was so funny. I got an ad like immediately after that, and it was like somebody Googling. It was like, what is social distancing in the Google? And I didn't realize it was an ad, and I really thought we were going back to the fact that Andrew Guy's been oblivious to COVID-19. And it was him just like, what is everybody talking about? Why did everybody keep asking me where my mask is? I don't have a mask. But yeah, it was good shit. Very funny stuff. All right. Ladies and germs, maybe next week's matches. We got Jessica Schloth going up against Beth May of the Den and the Quirky Mercs, respectively, in the singles division. Travis, who you got?
I'm gonna roll this dice and tell you. Odds, first one.
All right. We got Jacoby Bancroft of the Stars going up against Corruption's Jacob London.
Jacob London.
Also, I'm going to say Schloth as well, just as I feel like the Den has stronger rookies. And obviously, I'm going to go London because Corruption. Maybe next week, Ben Goddard versus Jete. If we
talked about this one last week, but JTE still, assuming he isn't rusty like McWeeny, but not that McWeeny like didn't show up, but I think he got cocky in that round too. Otherwise, he would have been fine. Goddard is he's good, right? He's shown himself to be a player that can show up and compete. I don't know that he's ready to play someone who frequently appears on people's Rushmore.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Very much excited for it. Again, this is very much one of those everybody has something to prove here. JTE has to prove that he's still got it. And Goddard gets a lot of, well-deserved cachet from being like, yeah, I went toe-to-toe with JTE and I'm the one who walked away. So very, very excited for that match, but I am probably betting and pulling for JTE. We will also have the free-for-all next week. And so because the free-for-all airs on a Saturday evening, that obviously will render our analysis obsolete as our show will already be out. So what we're going to try to do is get a bonus episode of Number One Contender out that week, probably on like a Wednesday or some shit like that, to cover the free-for-all. So
we could do it like just back-to-back with TNAP.
That is exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. So assuming things work out, I know Travis and I were talking before about after once he gets out of work, just catching the free for all and watching it together then. And then recording about it on Monday. But just as a heads up, we will not have like the main Saturday episode of Number One Contender. Won't be covering the free for all. However, the following Wednesday we will. Or hell, might even just post it up on Monday. Who knows? But either way, expect free for all coverage a couple days after the event. Travis, any thoughts going into free for all?
I feel like what happens if Merle gets it?
Has a title shot of his choice.
Yeah.
He can do whatever he wants with it.
Does he go straight for Intergeekdom? Does he just put his dick on the table? Because he's in that team. Well, I guess he holds on to it because he's in that team's tournament, right? So if they win and then they beat Corruption,
I think that would be the smartest move. Is to just. I think if that's what they did before.
Oh no! If he does it for Intergeekdom, then he has to play Mara. So that's like
A, his wife, B, his faction mate. I will. Yeah. So I feel like a season or two ago, this is exactly what happened. Where he had the pick a belt, any belt power. That he skipped the line to play Corruption. I feel like that was one of the times they played Corruption was.
I think you're right. The one of their matches against Corruption last season, I think, was
Yeah.
or they did it that season to get to Spectacular? I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I feel like
you're right. I think they used it for that title match before, so that because Founding Fathers had it in Spectacular. That's right.
Yeah.
So that's when
that's how they got there. So I would bet that with a new team and a very strong looking field of teams, Dan's going to hold on to it as a, in case of defeat or emergency, break glass if he wins it.
Mm-hmm.
To either skip Corruption or skip to whoever wins between the Odd Couple and Shazam.
So Shazam.
You and one of our lovely viewers and listeners kept making that same joke in the comments last week. They were like, "Oh man, can't wait to see Shazam become the new team's champion," or some shit like that.
It's gonna be great.
But
it's gonna be wonderful. A great way to cap off April.
Y'all keep talking like Corruption is about to take those belts back, but it's okay. Forgive them. They know not what they do. I'm very excited for this free-for-all. Mostly, and again, no shade or shame at anybody working at MTS. We love what you do, obviously. But the digital age has been so finicky as a word that I am very curious as to how the shit free-for-all is going to go. I do not envy whomever is running production for free-for-all.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you got to figure. I'm trying to remember what the max number of people you can have on screen for. You can have on screen at once in the premium version of StreamYard. But you're gonna have Harloff, Ellis plus 5 competitors. So there's just going to be a constant 7 people on screen. That is just going.
Harloff and Ellis aren't on screen, right?
They might do that, yeah. They might do it that way. But I'm very excited to see how this shakes out. Obviously, I was so ready to be week by week breaking down all the people announced for free for all, and then I realized that they're not really announcing anybody. They're here are the obvious people on the little art thing, and then from that point, it's just whoever gets announced during the match. And I made a really pretty note sheet. I color coded the factions. I was really, really trying. But of the people we know are going to be competing, obviously Dan Murrell and Bibbs are the ones to watch. Looking forward to seeing KO play. Going to be the first time I get to see KO this season, so I'm excited for that. It's unfortunate because in this new format where it is more of an actual sport, you can't do the crazy they just show up shit.
Yeah.
That's how Dan Murrell came out of retirement, was he just showed up during the free for all and was like, "What's up, bitches?" Can't really do that, unless Andrew Guy shows up or some bullshit. I don't know.
Our faded Sam Witwer returns to the Schmodown can't really happen anymore without it being really foreshadowed. Yeah,
you're right.
Oh man, the suspects just dropped the player randomly. That's weird. There's they dropped their Star Wars player. That's so strange.
Oh, what'll happen is they will absolutely lean into it and be and then drafting a mystery player. and that there will be some hoopla about like there's a player cloaked in the shadows that we for legal reasons have to tell you that we have, but we will not tell you whom it is. And then they will pull the trigger on Sam Witwer just shows up.
Yeah.
But yeah, very much looking forward to Free for All. Missed it last year and glad to have it back this year. And then after that, obviously, we have a very exciting end of the month. We have Brandon Hanna versus Robert Parker, and then Teams Tournament kicks up. So stay tuned to the Number One Contender podcast for all the coverage on all that fun stuff. Travis, where can the lovely people find you, my friend?
They can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Travis Political and streaming on Twitch at BlackLeader439 every Wednesday around 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
Roundabout.
Somewhere in there. Sometimes it's 8:30. Sometimes it's 9 o'clock. It depends on the day.
Sometimes I watch from work while I'm avoiding people I don't like.
That's true. Sometimes we discover that Henry Ford enabled Hitler to do what he did in Europe. I love Assassin's Creed lore, man. It's so stupid.
I get so entertained every time I just get to talk about it. Like, that is one of my biggest regrets, was ever doing that episode without a camera. Where it was
my timeline on the whiteboard.
Namely 2 cameras. One to just look at you in the timeline on the whiteboard, and me just giddy, just taking it all in, watching you slowly spiral. It was very entertaining. It's probably one of my favorites. We wasted May 4th talking about Assassin's Creed Deep Lore last year.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, did you say all the things?
Yes, I did. Jarod?
Yes. Where? You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552. And you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where, if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon page. Speaking of our Patreon, thank you to our $10 alumnus, Case and Brion, the Waffle Wizard, Delta 9, and Zach and House. Hiccups, you're the ones who help us make the content that we love to produce. Be sure to consider the $5 tier, where you get access to the Knights of the Nerd Republic Versus series. April was Executor Cedrus versus the Grand Inquisitor. May will be Galen Merrick versus Mara Jade. And we got Heroic History 101. And I think Travis and I will record that soon, maybe, hopefully. We'll see. That has very much become the hardest show to do somehow. That has become the alpha show as to when the hell we actually pull off recording it. But we also have our audio commentaries for Nerd Academy Movie Club. We are 2/3 of the way done with So Bad It's Good month. We got our audio commentary for The Room, and then our audio commentary track for Battlefield Earth. Both are fun listens. Heads up and warning, about halfway through The Room audio commentary, it's pretty much just me screaming in agony. Yeah. Click on the student store link on the website. Get access to all manner of Nerd Academy merch and goodies. And with that, thank you all so very much. Oh, like, comment, share, subscribe, do the things. I keep forgetting to say that because it feels weird to say at this point. But thank you all so very much for watching or listening or whatever you're doing. And smash cancer.